Hey everyone, welcome to week 11 of this semester, which is crazy because there's only 16 weeks and we are getting down to the close end of this course. Let's look at our assignments that we have to, our checklist of all the things that we're doing. I have way too many tabs open. Let's see here. So this is this week 11. Okay. We are starting a mini little unit on film. Okay. And then we're going to be moving into right after spring break, we'll be moving into your essay 3, the final essay. Y'all submitted essay 2, you're supposed to have yesterday. So I hope those are in. If they are not in yet, then you can still turn them in late, which is totally fine. And as long as you get them in before I finish grading them, that will be, you'll be fine. You won't have any zeros or anything. If you one day open up the grade book and you see you have a 0 for essay 2, that means that I have finished grading all the essays. Yours was not submitted, but it can still be submitted late, just with points off. Okay. You won't get, if you submit your essay tomorrow, there will be no points off because I haven't gotten to grade them all yet. Okay. I don't look at when it was submitted. I just look to see that it's there when I'm grading them. Okay. Now, since we're beginning that essay in after spring break, which is after the 10th. Okay. You will need to be finished reading your novel by that. So if by the end of spring break, so if you have not already started reading through, finishing your book and trying to get that over with, then you need to hurry up. Okay. You want to finish your book, but by the end of spring break, so that way when we start writing the essay 3, going into talking about it and researching and all that kind of good stuff, in week 14, you're ready to go. Okay. So at any point that you finish work early for this class, you need to make sure that you are reading your novel. Okay. So like, for example, okay, like this week you don't have an actual assignment that's due. Some of you are still finishing your essays and that's your assignment. Others of you, this week is going to be kind of easy, really. As you'll see, the only requirement that you have, which is not really a requirement, is if you can try to watch Candyman, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. And then next week, you're going to also watch a film on your own. But next week, you will have to write an assignment. But like this week, week 11, there is no actual graded assignment that you're doing. So you could do the things that I've listed out for you to do, or if you realize that you have only read 5 pages of your 300-page novel, then you can spend all week really just reading your book. Okay. Life is about making decisions on what you're going to do. It's kind of like when you get older, maybe some of you are at the stage. I mean, not all of you are in high school. These are not all dual enrollment students. Paying bills. There were plenty of times where I had to decide which bills I could pay and which bills I had to push off. Okay. That's part about being an adult. I have lists of to-dos and I will get through as much as I can. And then some things I just won't get to. So, this week, you have a couple of things lined up that I would like for you to do, but they're not for a grade. So I won't ever really know if you did those things or not. And so you might feel like it's more important for you to buckle down and read 20, 30, 40 pages a day of your novel. Okay. You just want to make sure that you have a plan for your book to be totally finished by the beginning of week 14. Okay. The beginning of, April 10th. Okay. If you have a book and you're like, what I do sometimes is I will make a plan. If I have 300 more pages to cover, and I'm like, okay, well, I have 20 days, then I'll just do simple math. I will divide that 300 by 20, and that'll tell me how many pages I need to read each day, and I'll buckle down and do it. Okay. So just make sure that you complete your reading your novel before the end of spring break. Okay. So this week we're going to talk about films. I'm going to do a film analysis of Moana. Can't wait. It's gonna be good. And then this week you are going to watch the lecture. I'm going to show you where this is. You're going to read. It's like 23 pages long. The Demon of Racial History. It's an article. It's a long academic journal article about the film Candyman, the original Candyman from 1992. I've actually posted a podcast for you that you can listen to instead of reading that if you want to, and I'll show you that in a moment. And then if you can find the original film, I have posted. I'll show that too. Also, I posted a link to the original film. I posted a link that has where you can rent the film for mostly $4. Okay. And so if you want to watch the original Candyman, then I would like you to do that because it's a great movie. It really is good. Okay. As long as you're at least 17 years old, because it's rated R. Okay. So let's go to Blackboard so you know where to navigate this week. Let's see. Okay, so when you log into Blackboard, you're going to be here. Okay, I wanted you to watch. I wanted you to watch Moana this week, or not this week, yesterday. Okay, because if you hadn't seen Moana, my PowerPoint presentation will make much more sense if you have. But I just realized I wrote watch Mulan today. Mulan, moron, Moana. So if you didn't realize I put that on there and you want to watch the Disney movie before I go over it, you can always stop this lecture and go watch it if you want, if you have an hour and a half. It's a great movie. It really is a great movie. I actually really thoroughly enjoy the movie. Okay. So you are going to, after you watch this lecture, okay, all of our stuff is in the lessons tab, okay, down in lesson 5, drama/film. This was originally a play unit that deals with plays, but I mean, film, I like film. I like film. I mean, I like theater also, but theater is an in-person thing. And when you can't be in person, watch film. Okay. You can still read all this. And the literary analysis essay, ignore that. That's not, you're not writing an essay for lesson 5. Now, next week, when you do your discussion post, it is going to be here, the discussion board. And I know it says drama, but when you click on it, it actually says film analysis. Okay. And so for this film analysis, you are going to pick any film you want to. You're going to watch it, and you are going to discuss what is a major theme in that film. What does that film represent? Maybe what does it talk about? Whether that is an obvious theme or it's a hidden theme. Okay. What people learn from it. That sort of thing. Okay. And it's all laid out for you what you're going to do here. And then you're going to read 2 other people's films about their films, and you're going to reply to them. Okay. Let's see, go back to lessons. Okay. So I posted my PowerPoint today, right down here, Moana PowerPoint, which I'm going to go over in a little bit. Okay. Now, and then here's the additional supplemental stuff. Again, this is not required. I can't require you to watch a film. Okay, especially if you're under 17. If you're under 17, you can't watch Candyman. I don't think I have any people under 17, but who knows? Okay. And if you click on here, it will take you to this. Oh, hold on. No. Oh, right here. Where to rent Candyman digitally. Click here. Candyman. 1992 version. If you have Apple TV, you can rent it for $4. If you have Amazon, you can rent it for $4. If you have Google Play, you can rent it for $4. If you have access to YouTube, you can rent it for $4. Okay, I mean, there's a lot of options for $4. Watch the film. It's a horror film, but it's not just a scary film. There's a lot of depth to it when you about race in American history. And so after you watch it, I would love it if you either listened to this podcast or you read this PDF. Now, this PDF is 23 pages long. Okay. It's quite long, but it's very in depth about all the historical racial symbolism in this film. But this is why I include this podcast. Okay. I did not read this. I listened to this podcast. There's this podcast called Girls, Guts, and Giallo. And it is hosted by a self-professed lesbian vampire. Okay. And she likes girls because she's a lesbian. She likes horror films, which deal a lot with removing guts. And she likes Giallo, which is a type of Italian murder mystery genre. Okay. And so in this podcast, she does a lot of she has all these episodes are always on different films and in horror film analysis and talking about their deeper meanings to them, hidden meanings to them. And the Rosemary's Baby one is awesome. It's all about gaslighting and feminism. And so Candyman, in this one, she does a great job of really breaking it down. And she uses a lot of research and academic articles and papers in her analysis. So this link that I posted for you, the Demon of Racial History, this was a source that I got from her podcast, and a lot of what she talks about in the podcast comes from this. So this is 23 pages, and the podcast is almost 2 hours, and she goes scene by scene. Okay. So I listened to this when I took a couple of different jogs, and I listened to it as I ran, and it was really fascinating. If you don't have 2 hours to devote to listening to this podcast, and you want to skim through the 23 pages, just get an idea about this analysis, you can. Okay. This is why I didn't really assign any graded work this week, because theoretically, if you did everything that I'm asking you to do this week, it would be kind of, you would be spending 2 hours watching a movie, an awesome movie, and then you'd be spending 2 hours listening to an awesome analysis of an awesome movie. Okay, so that's like 4 hours of free time you need to have in order to do this. Okay, which for some people is not realistic. All right, but it'd be great if you could, though. It would be really cool. None of this is though for children. If you have kids in your life, whether you are a parent or a uncle, aunt, or you are an older brother or sister, do not watch Candyman around children. And if you are thinking that you're going to listen to the Candyman analysis while doing the dishes or cooking dinner, which I often do, wear headphones. Okay, because there is explicit language, all right, in this podcast, and so it could be it is inappropriate for little ears. Okay, so just know, all right, just know that. but it's worth your listen. It's really interesting. It's super, super interesting. Okay. So those are the things that I have posted for you. Okay. Where to rank Candyman digitally. And then, and then this podcast link and the podcast link in the article if you want to. Okay. But essentially what they're doing is what I want you to do after all this. Next week, you're going, and I don't know if there'll be a lecture next week, because I mean, next week is just in a continuation of this week. You are watching a film and then either reading or listening to how people interpret it. And then next week, you are watching a film on your own and you are analyzing, interpreting it, and writing a interpretation of that film in a discussion post. So I don't think there'll probably will be a lecture next week. Okay. All right, so let's get now. I do want to do this Moana analysis to kind of give you an idea about like what I'm looking for you to do in your writing, this is essentially what is done on a very small scale in this Candyman analysis. Okay, so let's get into that. New share. Where's my PowerPoint? Oh, here's my PowerPoint. Okay. Here we go. Don't look, 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 don't look. Okay, you can look. All right. All right. Moana. I'm telling you, I was not a person who was into, let's see here. When I became like a teenager, I stopped watching Disney. Sorry. And then as an adult, I did not watch Disney when I was, for my wife and I were together, whether it was we're dating as teenagers or together in our early 20s or married. We weren't like, oh, let's watch the latest Disney movie until we had kids. And then we had kids, and my daughter was, I don't know, 3 or 4 when Brave came out. And so we watched Brave, and Brave was, and then I went and watched it. I was like, oh, Brave is pretty good. Okay, I gotta admit, I liked Brave. So I was like, okay, well, we'll give this Disney thing a try again. And then when Frozen came out, we took our daughter again to see Frozen, and it was good. It was good. Enjoyed it. And then Moana came out, and we watched Moana, and the music was great. The film was great. I mean, The Rock, whatever. The Rock is The Rock, whatever. But I mean, for some reason, this film, I was like, wow, this is really good. And I guess because like I had a daughter, I let down my guard and allowed myself to like enjoy the films and stuff. Because before having kids, I thought, adults, why adults watching cartoons without children? I was being judgy. I was being very judgy. Okay, I'll admit that. So, but now I have kids. I can justify. I can say, Moana, though, is a good film, even without kids. Songs are good, and the message is great. Okay, so let's get into this Moana analysis. So before we get into Moana, actually, let's look at some of the shift in Disney princesses. We're all familiar with like the classics: Cinderella, Snow White, Ariel, Aurora. Okay, all the classics about girls with different color hair looking for love. That's it. Okay, that was it. Okay, of our upper class economic status, looking for love, just looking for love in all the wrong places. So then we had a shift, and we have these films, Brave and Frozen, which are great. They're great. The Brave speaks to my Celtic roots 100%. All right. The music is good. And these were good because, Merida was important because Merida speaks to the more tomboy girl. Okay. She speaks to the girls who couldn't relate to Cinderella and Aurora and Ariel and all of them. She speaks to the girls who were more about playing outside, and they didn't want to always be brushing their hair, and they didn't want to be putting on a pretty dress. Okay. And so, those girls who always felt alienated before, they had Merida, and Merida was not about getting married. She was like, my life is not about trying to find a husband, which was great. And then Frozen, also Frozen, we go back to these to, once again, this more traditional girly girl, but still it also challenged the idea that romantic love was the most important thing in a woman's life. It was like, no, we had Anna, who was like love, 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 love. And then we had her sister, who Elsa, who was like, no, no, no. And everyone else in Anna's life was like, no, you need to chill out, slow down. Okay. No, you don't fall in love with someone you just met. Even though Anna does still fall in love by the end of the movie. Okay. But Elsa does not. And she says, you know, she's like, look, I'm not about giving my life away to some dude. Okay. Nope. And so, you know, it was important because it was like sisterly love. All right. Both films stress the importance of familial bonds. All right. The bonds of the family, and and these are more important. You should not let other people get in between you and your family. Okay. Brave deals with Merida and her mom at first clashing and then coming together, that family rivalry, and then or I guess more like rebellion. And then Frozen, also same, two girls who are sisters at first, you know, who are clashing and then they come together. Okay, so they're very similar in that way. And then we have Moana. Okay, Moana changes everything up. She's still a princess and she's still feminine, but she's also tomboyish. Okay. And so she is that mixture between like Merida, who is just a wild child, and then Elsa and Anna, who are much more put together. And then we have Moana, who's this sort of like natural beauty. She embraces her feminine side, yet she's still also athletic. And it's not about her family. It's about what we'll see, okay, this universal sisterhood, that women fighting for women, not because they're related by, you know, mother, daughter, like Merida and the mom, which the film originally was going to be called like Mama Bear, which makes a lot more sense than Brave. And then and it's not like about sisters who are we got each other's back because we're blood related. Moana is about sisterhood, this universal sisterhood of women helping women and women bonding with women and women being with women. And you might be like, I saw the movie. Where's the other women? It's just Moana. Hold on to that question. Just hold on to it. Okay. Because here we go. I'm about to answer that. I'm going to move my face. Okay. So the film opens. We have this whole background of Fiti, mother goddess island, who gives birth to other islands. All right. And like tons of religions. At the beginning, the earth is female. Okay. What's actually really interesting is that if you think about like the earth is always personified as female. And then you have in the ocean is also personified as female. And they kind of work together to create life. So one could say that we really, you know, the world evolved from lesbian moms. Okay. So there was no dude in the picture. We got Mother Ocean and we got Mother Earth coming together and creating all of us. So that's beautiful. It's beautiful. So it's a Fiti, mother goddess island, who gives birth to other islands. Okay. She represents women and the feminine spirit. Beautiful. Okay. And you see this little, this is her heart. This is her heart. This is her center right here. Okay. This is her center. Then we have Maui. Maui. He's a demigod. He's a male. He enters deep into the island of Te Fiti to steal her power. He's a trickster. He's a deceiver. He doesn't really show who he really is. Okay. He is manipulative. and he finds her center, and he uses his fish hook. His hook, which the fish hook is what we call a phallic symbol. Okay, a phallic symbol. A phallic symbol is something that represents a penis. Okay, so usually they're elongated. If you read Lord of the Flies, Jack is always has his knife. All right, and that knife is a phallic symbol as well. He uses it to make him feel strong, but with that thing he enforces violence and destruction with it. Okay, Maui's hook here is his phallic symbol. This elongated, pointy item that makes him feel big and bad and strong, and it's his source of manliness. Okay, so this scene sets up this scene sets up this dude, this ultra masculine big old dude, sneaking his way, tricking his way, deceiving his way into the depth of Te Fiti, just to steal from her life force. Okay, and so this scene symbolizes misogyny, male dominance, and the patriarchy in all forms. Patriarchy, again, male dominance. Okay, misogyny is this belief that women are inferior to men, and that men need to invoke their patriarchy, their rule over women, that women and men are not equal. So this comes in all forms. Okay, this can be in the home, where the idea that the women do all of the domestic work. This can be religion, where only men can preach and only men are the chosen ones who can really serve God, and the women must listen. This can be the workplace inequality, men and women doing the same jobs, but men, for whatever reason, deserve to be paid more. This can be in the much more brutal sense, in like rape and sexual abuse, that women are just here for men's pleasure and men enforce their will upon them. Sexual misconduct. Some guys are like, hey, I didn't rape her. I was just, pulling my stuff out for her. And so, but which is still misogynistic, and it is abuse. And then anywhere else where men use their gender to have power and privilege over women. Okay, this is Maui using his male dominance to get what he wants. Okay, so then we have the introduction of Taka, and Taka is a powerful demon, firing demon that attacks Maui and creates a lot of unrest. Okay, now unbeknown to the audience, this is a spoiler. This is why I hope you watched Moana before watching my lecture. But what we find out much later is that Te Fiti is Taka. That Te Fiti turns into Taka once she is abused by Maui. And so this represents the fact that Te Fiti is Taka, and Taka comes out of Te Fiti once she has been abused by Maui. This represents the rage and trauma that overcomes women who experience all the forms of misogynistic oppression: sexual abuse, less pay, unequal familial expectations, degradation in the church, mansplaining, etc. Now, a lot of women will swallow this rage, they will swallow this anger, and they'll try to deal with it, and then it manifests this way in different things, whether that is depression, mental health issues, alcoholism, I said depression, sadness, whatever it is, it will manifest in some other way. But it comes from these feelings of misogyny enacted towards them. So then the side effects of this: darkness starts to spread across the ocean to other islands, killing all the fish and corrupting the crops. Okay, once Maui does so, this is like the stain of misogyny. I mean, misogyny, the patriarchy, is literally a stain on society and existence. It will eventually rot everything. this unequal perception of men and women, this idea that men are more superior to women and whatever. This will rot society. Okay. And that's the, sort of this lesson that this is the theme that the story is teaching, or is sort of is representing. So then we have Moana. Oh, Moana, get away. There she is, grown, or I mean teenager. This is her as a little child. Okay. She's led into the ocean as a little baby with these conches. And so she represents female empowerment. She's going to symbolize the empowered woman, and the woman that is not being, or at least stands up to misogyny. And so the conch is what we call a yoni symbol, okay, and it represents women. And so the ocean is calling her in. The woman, the ocean is trying to empower her with all these symbols of femininity, of being female and being empowered. Yoni is Sanskrit for womb. Okay, so kind of how the phallic symbol represents men, yoni symbols represent women, and they both deal with body parts. The ocean is personified as female in literature always, and so the ocean calls to her. And there's even a song about how the ocean's calling to her. The ocean's deep and it's wild and it's full of mystery. Okay, remember the whole earth is woman, ocean's woman. So we owe ourselves to the lesbian nature couple. And this represents the unique ways women have to fight for respect for themselves and how they comfort and bond with other women. Okay. Moana gets all of her strength and messaging from the ocean and from her grandmother. All right. And she, as we'll see later on, the way that she bonds with Fiti and how she overcomes Taka. All of this is from women. She is not getting this from Maui. Okay. And so for however, the female intuition, the female bond that women have with each other and being able to comfort and bond with each other is very unique. And this film really stresses that. Okay. So then we have Moana. This gets us to the end. I'm fast. The middle is all filler. Okay. Then we get to the ending. All right, where Moana is trying to put back the heart of Te Fiti, and she has this moment of realization where she realizes that Taka is Te Fiti, and we have this right here. It's little spiral, which is what was in the cave, and so Moana realizes that she shouldn't be fighting against Taka because Taka is Te Fiti. And so she sings to her. Moana sings to Taka as Taka is crawling towards her, which many would think that, watching this, if they were there, that like Moana is about to be killed by this demon. But she says to Taka, "They have stolen the heart from inside you, but this does not define who you are. This is not who you are. You know who you are." And at first you think about it in the film, well, it's just one person. He stole the heart from inside her, Maui. But Maui represents men in the patriarchy, and not even all men, the patriarchy, the misogynists, okay, the men who do not value women, or the men who do not think that men and women are equal. Okay. They have stolen the heart from inside you. But she says this does not define you. Man's outlook on women does not define women. Okay. And that the same way in which a racist's outlook on Black people does not define Black people. And a xenophobic, anti-immigrant American perspective of a person fleeing their country for sanctuary here in America, their derogatory, xenophobic perspective on immigrants does not define immigrants. Okay, even though sometimes we let those negative perceptions and judgments infiltrate our hearts and make us, we start to convince ourselves that we are as bad as these prejudicial people think of us, think that we are. And so what Moana is saying is, take it back. You know who you are. You know that you are not this victim, this raging person. All right. Don't let him steal that from you, really. And so this calms the anger and the rage in Taka. And Taka lets Moana place her heart back in her, which she does. Okay. And so we have this whole theme about women supporting women and women being there for each other and understanding each other and supporting each other, and through, whether it's through therapy or counseling, support groups, or just friendship, the female bond, the den, the lion's den, whatever it is, stuff. It's a whole idea of sisterhood, that you don't have to be blood related to understand that you're all in this together. So then Fiti wakes up. Her char-grilled, burnt exterior breaks. It crusts off. It melts away, whatever you want to say. Okay, and she wakes back up, and there she is, just staring down. Okay, and she's restored, and all peace is restored, and the disease of the plants goes away, and the disease of society goes away. But then we're left with Maui, though. Son of a bitch. So we have to ask, he has to ask, what does he do? Look at him. Look at him there. Sad. Yep. Okay. He knows what he did. She looks down. Okay. All right. And so what can men do? Once the hood of the patriarchy, of misogyny, of oppression is lifted from their eyes, and they realize of the wrongs that they've committed, what do? Well, first, acknowledge their bullshit and change their behavior. I mean, past is the past. Okay, so sometimes all one can do is say, yeah, I was wrong, and I need to change that. I got this book. I think I've discussed it before. Hold on. Oh, here we go. This book, All the Rage. Is backwards, I know, because the camera. Okay, but if this was straight, it would say All the Rage, and it's about the rage women feel. And this book is about men who consider themselves to be progressive because they're all about women, equal pay, when their wives and girlfriends working, and moms working, and all that kind of stuff. Yet the problem is that even though they support women going out and working, and equality in the workplace and society and equal rights, that the men still don't do their share of all the domestic responsibilities. They're not cleaning up, and they're not putting things away and cooking and doing dishes and all that kind of stuff. It's still left on the woman's shoulders. And a lot of this is done just by default. And so women end up, even though they contribute 50% to the household budget, they are picking up 75% of the household responsibilities, and how it fills women with rage. Okay, and so the best thing that guys can do is acknowledge that you're right, I have not been contributing, and then change their behavior and start helping out more, or stop being controlling, or stop being abusive. So Fiti forgives him and offers him a new hook, since his was destroyed. And that's important. Okay, it's saying, look, if this hook is a phallic symbol, so it represents masculinity, don't use it for wrong. Don't use the hook to take advantage of women. Don't use the hook, and whether that's advantage of sexual advantage. All right, I have this other book. Hold on. Actually, I'm gonna pause this window. I have this book, Missoula, which is about it's about rape in the college university system, and it's a case study about all of these sexual assaults that take place on college campuses under the umbrella of parties, and usually there's booze involved or there's relationships and stuff, and it really dives deep into, we have this idea of like sexual abuse is forceful, violent rape, but sexual abuse also is drugging somebody. It's touching someone who you did not get permission to touch. It is boyfriends demanding sex from their girlfriends, even if their girlfriends don't want to do it. That's still a form of coercion and rape. Just because you're going out doesn't mean that you're entitled to your partner's bodies and stuff. And so, this film is really emphasizing that, like Maui himself, as we've seen in the film, he's not something that you would think deserves to go to jail at all but there are more men in the world who abuse their male privilege against women, okay, than there are men who physically who brutally murder or rape women, okay. And that just because a guy doesn't rape or murder a woman doesn't mean that he's not abusing his privilege as a man in the world. And so, this really kind of addresses that Maui, here's a new hook for you, okay? Don't use it to overpower or use your privilege over women, okay? Don't use it to manipulate them or to get them to do more work than you or to justify paying them less. All these things that technically, like right now we have Deshaun Watson, who has been accused by 22 women of sexual misconduct. And but he's not being sent to prison or even tried because there's no evidence. But I mean, these are things like he's at a massage parlor. Massage parlor is there to massage muscles. It's not to massage sexual body parts. And so he abuses his position to try to coerce these women into doing things with him that they did not want to do. And so even though technically he can't be arrested because there's no evidence, doesn't make that what he did was okay. And so that's another example of like these men who, like Maui originally, misused his hook, okay? And so here we have her. She is offering forgiveness, and under the condition that he takes this new hook and he becomes a new person with it and changes his behavior, for which then he apologizes. So men need to not use their sex or gender to oppress, ignore, control, or cause harm to women, both physically, emotionally, sexually, socially, financially, spiritually, in terms of religion, etc., 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 etc. Okay, so that's the real deep message of Moana, and that's what it is pushing. I mean, this film is, love is not even part of this. It's not even about like whether or not to marry or not to marry. It's about power, and it's about abuse and trauma, and what you do with those things and how you heal from those and how you change. And that just as much as Fiti needed to heal from her abuse, Maui needed to heal. He needed to become a new person and to let go of all of his old bullshit ways of using his power and strength over the opposite sex. So yeah, it's a great film. Okay, and then look, all is right in the world again. Once all that stuff is taken care of, All is right in the world. Woohoo! Okay. So if you want to go back over that, like I said, you can download the PowerPoint from the lesson 5 folder if you want to look at it. I would like for you to, if you can, rent and watch Candyman. After you're reading it, I'm sorry, after watching it, the 1992 version, and I'd like for you to listen to the podcast about Candyman, where they go through every scene. They talk about the symbolic depth of it and how it relates a lot to racism and white privilege. God, it's so good. It's such a good analysis. Okay, and it's really entertaining. You could also read this article that this is referenced in that podcast a lot. So you get a real understanding of like analyzing film, analyzing the theme of a film. And then next week, you're going to pick your own film to watch. You are going to write a thematic analysis of it and post it in the discussion board, and then read some other people's posts. Okay. You don't have to wait till next week to post in the discussion board. Okay. In fact, this is like a 2-week assignment. So the sooner you do it, the better. And that way you provide people options to read your posts. Okay. All right. If you have any questions, this is kind of a long lecture, but I hope you enjoyed it though. Hope you enjoyed it and you learned something. Email me if you have any questions. I'm going to be in essay heaven grading all of your work. I'm looking forward to it. All righty. See y'all later.